don't know, it's
Yeah,
up to
and
the
there's
board,
no
I think.
harm in putting that there because that's been happening here even before
Before me.
anyone has been here. Even when I started, that was happening.
Yes, it was.
You know, so it's a very valuable tool because when I talk to other board members from other districts, they are very advocates of the fact that we have this 35, 40 minutes, 44 minutes to spend with the superintendent before the board meeting, so we can get our questions answered and be well prepared for the evening.
Right. So how might you state that? When you continue one-on-one meetings with trustees? Yeah.
Pre-board. But the thing is not only like pre-board, like you have schedule with when you one-on-one can be.
Can be anything.
Right, yeah, right.
You can do it any time, but that's a kind of a preset.
The standard, yeah, and
Okay.
the way I look at it is if I have something that's really pressing, I call her, or I text her, or I email her, I do something on the spot. But normally, whatever I have to talk to her about can wait until, so it's nice to just have that, I know I have that dedicated time to do it.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
Something like to, see, what trustees.
Hang on for C.
Sorry.
Oh, we're on A still.
We're still on
I'm just
A?
finishing A, but
Okay.
I'm gonna go to B. Okay, we move to B, what the superintendent needs.
Yeah, so all those can stay. I do, a couple things, because I think the word came up here, multiple times around the idea of trust, and to me it's an assumed, so I have to say, I never thought to put it on here because, I've never felt like I wasn't trusted, and I think that's important. And my take on that as a superintendent is if you ever feel, that something that I'm saying isn't enough or isn't accurate, there are ways in which we can make sure that that happens. So, it would be asking for things like, well, I am curious what we did, for example, like the Stockholm committee, we did invite the parents, but maybe it's a topic where you say, I do want to know what the teacher cadre members are doing. Can you bring a couple teacher cadre members into the presentation? I don't mind that, right? But that idea of trusting that we're giving accurate and good information has been an assumed importance for myself and my staff to not be feeling like whatever we say isn't accurate. That's a difficult way to operate. So that was one.
What might you add there?
I would just say trust,
The trust and respect also under B.
yeah, just trust and respect, because I think that's, it was assumed, I never thought of it that way, but I think it's important.
We have it in C.
We have it in C
Yeah.
from each other again.
Right.
So maybe we should add that to B.
Okay.
And then the other one I thought of actually was, we've done all these coffees now, so we've had 75 we've done at this point now, or between PTA, coffee. And one of the things that I've also appreciated, which is also assumed, is that, and I think it was in one of the board responsibilities, is the idea that you speak as one, right? So that the message is that no matter which coffee I'm at with board member, if one of you speaks up, I'm not that superintendent that's go like this waiting to see what was being said, because I know you all know the information and you speak as one, and so it's very comfortable when you do speak up because I know what's coming. So that voice that isn't, what I mean by that is it is a board voice. It's not an individual member's voice, it's a board voice. And I appreciate that. I think that's important for us, as we continue coffees and continue engagements, is that be the case.
So we would add speakerphone voice, speak with one voice. Yeah.
That's under what the superintendent needs.
Yes.
I also think it should be including C.
Okay. Are we done with B then, Wendy? Is there anything else that you want to add?
I have one item to add for A, is also, I need the superintendent to trust the board members to visit school sites as we need. And of course, we should notify the superintendent as principal
So let's hear from your fellow board members, let's talk about that, so how we wanna proceed.
I have a question about, and maybe this is a question for Greg this afternoon, but it seems to me that if I go to an advisory committee that's advising a group that I'm a member of, that to me is somehow a conflict of interest. Now, I don't know if legally it really is or not, but it seems like you shouldn't be a member of a group that's advising you.
I have a clear example. So DAC, the District Advisory Committee, Council, it was a state mandated under the program called LCAP. And the education code actually said board representation is required. It shall include board representation, and that's an advisory board committee for the board. And in city council and a lot of, I think right now even a lot of
Leanne,
board
I'm
has
gonna
board
leave that for
members.
this afternoon, because I think it's
Have
gonna be
board members
important
on
to
the
clarify.
I'd like to ask Greg.
Yes, I'm gonna, that's to clarify.
I think it's actually a protocol question, because again, so I appreciate your trust. I think saying there you want trust and respect the same throughout all three sounds to be fine. If you're trying to put it down to a specific thing, it's a board decision. So I'm not the decision maker when it comes to protocols for the board where you say, well, superintendent, trust me to go to school whenever I want, how I want. That's actually a protocol. And so what I do is I have to trust you to live within your protocols that are created here, but I don't create those. So, and I do think when you say that, I would then have to follow it up if you said, well, trust means that board members go and do whatever they want, whenever they want. I would say, I think we need to discuss that as a group, because that's not necessarily about trust so much as it is about what it does to environments, and whether or not because for example, when you say visit a school, all board members have the right to visit any school they want. There's no restriction, and I don't go, unless you want me to, and I've escorted because they've asked. But that's just a normal practice here for board members to go and visit classrooms, walk with the principal. It's not something we stop or say you can't do. So there is a difference, though, if we were going to say, well, are we going to start a practice where board members start going and holding staff meetings at the school? That's a little different.
But just going back to the visiting schools, the protocol that we have followed all these years is if we want to visit schools, we schedule the visit through the superintendent's office. We don't directly schedule it, we don't just walk on campus and do a school visit. That's the protocol that we've followed for a number of years, and I guess it goes to the protocol discussion when we have it.
We will have it
And
after
see,
lunch.
as a board, what we
Right.
decide
We'll have it
is
after
works.
lunch.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I just feel that, I don't feel trusted. So, okay, we agree that we will try to speak with one voice. So when I attend the community DAC meetings, I promise that I will not interfere, so I attend the meeting, I don't even introduce myself, I just sit there and listen. And so I should get the trust that I will be there and just listen and don't interfere with the meeting. That's the trust I need from superintendent.
And so why do you feel like you didn't have it?
Because you called me after asking me not to attend these meetings.
What I asked actually, and everyone in this group got the email, is what I asked is that we have a set of practices and protocols that have been followed to this point. What I asked is that you please not attend until after Friday, which is today, until we had the discussion about protocols and practices moving forward, because you were actually changing a past practice. And you actually changed it in multiple ways since you came on the board. So when you say there's no trust, because every time I referred you back to the protocols or said this is not a board practice or a board member reminded you, you did it anyway. So that was the feeling of mistrust. And everyone got that email, it was to the entire board, to say, please, could we just follow the current protocol? We don't do this until Friday so that we can reset it. Because if not, what it creates for me is a series of one of mine, which is no surprises. When I find out from another individual in the district that you're attending something and I had no idea you were attending or you even established as a meeting, it was awkward because I'm sitting there going, what? How come I didn't know that? How
Marshall, you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, which we as a board and me and Phyllis have talked about also, is, you know, when we do board activities, we want to have, like, you know, if I, went to school, the Santa Clara County School Board Association meeting, as to report back, you know, because what we've done, in the past is that we try to have a board presence at anything we're invited to. And if one of us goes, then we just wanna come back and say, oh, I went there and this is what happened. So we just wanna have, you know, maybe just have a board activities as what the trustees, I don't know if you wanna specify it here, or we just kind of make that as a protocol that we report back.
I'm feeling a need to do that too. I don't want it to deteriorate into, I visited 6 schools and Christine only visited 1. That's
there's no
not what we're talking
competition,
about. It's
no.
not a competition thing. It's an opportunity here. Like, I know you went to something on housing. I would have loved to have heard about it, and you didn't have the opportunity to. I know Wendy goes to stuff, but generally you share with us during your superintendent's report. But yeah, sort of big picture things, not I visited a school or I saw this
So
lesson or
report
that kind of
on
thing.
what? How do we define that?
I don't know.
Board activities, I think I see that in other board agenda, the very last item is like board activities.
And we have
We
that,
have-
we just
Yes,
don't
so
talk
that's
about
what we
it.
should
But we don't use it very
And
well.
then another thing that I see in other board
Well, hang on, let me make sure I get the right
activities-
wording on this, and then I'll come
Yeah.
back to you. So report on, I know you're asking that it not become like every single thing I did this month, but.
No, it's not that, it's more about a bigger picture.
Yeah.
You know, things that would interest my fellow board members, like, you know,
Or-
going to the budget, let's say we have a budget advisory thing in 2 weeks, that the state, the county,
yeah.
the county's putting up, and not all of
And I
us can
can't go, yeah.
Vic and I, all of us cannot go, but maybe one of us will go, you know, and then that person can just take 5 minutes to say, these are the 5 points that I learned from it, you know, to share, but not about, you know, yeah, yeah.
Could you put report on learnings and, meeting, other meeting events or other function events or something? Board activity report, and I put hyphen, cause it's, we do have the agenda item.
Uh-huh.
So board activity hyphen report on,
Or I wonder, we've all kind of
Learnings.
tried to.
yeah,
Learnings, yeah, we've all kind of tried to reply all on things that we're gonna go to, not anything that violates any laws, but.
But
So maybe as the board president, Anjali, you should kind of prioritize that and let us know who you think should report on things, I don't know. Or maybe you guys could talk about it at agenda setting.
Well, what about just leaving it is a board activity, what we did, and then, like, let's say I went to the housing thing, but it was stuff we knew already or not relevant, that I might not want to report, so I think it should be self-selecting, like.
Okay.
If, I don't know, that's my
Well,
opinion,
we
like, if
could
I say I went to this great housing thing, this is the top 3 things I learned, but if I didn't go for it, didn't learn,
Or
I
didn't
don't need to
learn.
share.
So then I think the other question I would want to pose to all of you is like, yes, we can start off being self-selective, but if it seems like we're diverting, we're kind of doing things that we as a board don't think needs to be reported back, then we need to make it our mission, you know, we should speak up and say,
Monitor
yes,
each other.
Monitor each other,
Or I
exactly.
think the president can set the tone what you think would be important.
Right, yeah, so
To
we.
remind us, oh, this probably is not important.
I can definitely monitor that, but, you know.
Sounds touchy.
Yeah. But
Right.
again, it is, I think among each other, we should kind of police it also, because we can say, okay, yeah, we heard it this time, but next time, I don't think we need to, because we've already learned or something, you know.
So following the same line that I see in other board meetings, the very last item, sometimes it's board activities and future agenda items. So they discuss in the open meeting which item should be agendized. So in one video I watched, they said, oh, I received this request to put certain thing on the agenda. For example, the community engagement task force, someone brought up, and maybe the board should discuss together, is that worthwhile to be agendized or not, so that
So Leanne,
this
let's
is
hold
not
that
a
again.
decision
Okay,
between.
hold that for protocol, okay, cause we're gonna get there. We're gonna take a break in about 5 minutes for lunch and then come back and we're gonna dig right into the protocols, cause that's another place for
protocol,
protocol.
not the.
That would be a protocol rather than what
we have a
trustees need
protocol for
from each
that,
other.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 okay.
here?
I just wanna say, I think one more is a good board is very important, right, especially things like if the board already make a decision, sometimes even like if you are not taking position, for example, like you just say usual, just say LGBT or like some like anti-gun or pro-gun, some kind of things. If we say neutral or not taking position or taking certain position, then no matter individual board member, we should just have it like this.
So just to restate that, meaning like even if it was a 3-2 vote or a 3-1 vote, when the message goes out, it goes out as that whatever was the prevailing vote, and it wasn't
Everybody supports it.
right,
Mhm.
right?
So, I know it's in a protocol, I know we have it in a protocol
Mhm.
statement, but, support majority decision, maybe that's what we do. Okay.
So Babs, are you, cause I'm writing here.
I am.
Okay, so you're gonna, okay, I just wanna make sure that,
I do, and we have two slightly different versions, you have something in here that I don't have, so we're gonna coordinate,
yeah, okay.
but I'll take these notes.
Okay.
That's just to comment on something about the support majority decision. Leanne, Kristen and I came on, like, the board priorities were already made and it had gone through a long process, like, that the community was involved, right, to come up with the poster and then how technology was gonna get rolled out. Like, a lot of things were already set in place. And so I think, what was the sentence we just said, we'd had support?
Support majority decision.
Right, so we had, so like that little circle here about set direction, establish structure, provide support, like, if some direction had been set like 2 weeks before we got there, we can't revisit like every single thing, so I think sometimes you have to support something that was already in place before you got there, if it makes sense, right? Or at least give it enough time to play out and to continue on to establish the structure, provide support and ensure accountability, because we couldn't just revisit every single thing of a district that's been here for so long. As soon as we got
priority is
close.
something we should revisit every year.
And I'm not saying which things we should and shouldn't, but I'm just saying sometimes you have to support the
When you come in
decisions.
mid-year, is what
Yeah.
you're saying,
Mhm.
then there's a plan and a process in place, and that it may be that you have to support that until the next opportunity to revisit the whole piece.
Yeah, and it's important, Phyllis and I were just actually, she's the rep for the collaborative we've been a part of for 3 years with the state. And now we're part of a newer portion of that collaborative, which is an early adopter program that the state's put together for districts as a board member and superintendent. And one of the conversations yesterday was exactly the opposite. You don't revisit your priorities every year. It's detrimental to any organization. So
Even if it's wrong, or it turns out it doesn't work out for the community or the
yeah, well, let me explain. So you have a 3-year plan. So the LCAP was designed as a 3-year plan. And if the data that we receive, so it's a little strange on the state side, everything we receive is a year behind, right? And one of the points that was made yesterday is that any change, any initiative takes more than a year to get into place to determine whether or not it's functional and it's working. Often takes 3 to 5 is what the range is. So if every year you said, okay, our priority is going to be writing, in this writer's workshop, and we're getting through the implementation, but by May you have to have a whole new plan, and someone goes, well, I didn't like writers, it didn't work, we're throwing it out, and you start over. And then the next year you start something and you go, well, it's only been 7 months, I don't like it. So really the process we were talking about yesterday was every 3 years is a time when you do a more extensive look. But each year in between, it's a minor revision because it's a tweaking of what you're doing, because it's too disruptive to any system to every year say, well, this year our priority is this, don't like it, we're gonna change the priority, we're gonna change the priority, change the priority.
Every 3 years, we should revisit the priority.
Well, every year you should be reviewing and revising, but every few years, every 3 or so years, you should be looking more in depth at the data because you actually have a data set that's at least.
So it's been 3 years, right, on the iPad.
Correct, and we're doing that now.
So we should have, more in-depth look.
But you said this,
Direction.
but you said that the state is behind, so we only have 2-year data.
Correct, we have 2 years of data. are doing a little bit more and, are going to do, a few more meetings than we had in the past year because of that. You know, along with our surveys, but the whole idea of, you know, every year you should revisit a priority, it would be like redoing a strategic plan every year. It wouldn't be very strategic, so.
So I have a question. I mean, yes, I understand we should speak with one voice, but then on the other hand, I just got elected, right? So during the election, I was critical of the board, right? And then so for me to suddenly now say, okay, everything is fine. How do I do that person now is split? So I will speak for the board. I now am part of the board, but then I still have this personal opinion on what I think doesn't work. I don't know how I can reconcile with myself.
I think everybody has that.
Yeah.
Everybody has that. Everybody has something that agree with
Mm-hmm.
the decision.
Yeah, so
We all have
do
to
I
handle
speak,
that
when I
part.
speak, I would specifically say, this is just my personal view, it's, or do you should always?
Yeah, but the board has to make the decision, not saying that you have to support that decision.
Okay, so the
Until-
priority is, like use technology daily, and that's a set priority. Now, what I can speak is how do you assess that, right? This is a question I should be able to ask, because I want to evaluate whether whether they are implementing this priority, and how that helps with student learning.
So that's like the perfect example when Kristen and I came on, that board priority was set already, right? So I'll say to people, yeah, use technology and, what is it, use technology and learning every day, I'm reading it off there too, yeah. But then to say that we are gonna have this task force to assess, right, how the rollout and implementation, right? So that is back to what you're saying, right? Like, I'm not gonna assess it, but the task force is going to assess it,
And
right?
they're gonna make a report to us.
Yeah.
And that was determined earlier, even before we were elected, that the task force was going to come along. We've been talking about it because you need at least 2 to 3 years for something to be implemented to have good data. Because if it's only 1 year data, it doesn't really give you much. You need, you know, just like the state or anything, and they were telling them yesterday, whatever meeting you guys were in, that you need to have something be there for at least 3 to 5 years to be able to really see if something was effective or not, right? And so we just are done with our 3rd year in technology.
Well, we're actually not
Some
fully,
people
this will be the end of our
haven't
first year,
Yeah.
or we were not fully implemented, so we're in that awkward space, so. And that's what makes it, I mean, if you look at the priority, are they using it in individual group learning every day? Almost, we can say that, so the idea was, first we had to get access in order to make that true, so that was the first component, was to give access to technology, because many children didn't have it. So, that was the biggest.
So if we go back to it, this particular board priorities was actually developed by the board that doesn't even sit here anymore. In 2012 at first, 2013, 2012, 13, right?
Yeah, it was in 13.
Ben and Gary.
It was in 13.
Yeah, Ben and Gary.
Laura and Jill.
Right. That's when this was, but it is now, which is like 5 years later, that it is
No, it's
fully
almost in 4, yeah.
fully implemented, right? So it took so much, it takes time for, once something is set and for it to totally roll out and then get the data to do it, it's the time that is needed.
When I don't even be revisiting these priorities, so it's been 5 years. These priorities you said.
Not
So
five.
that was set in
13.
Well, we are revisiting the technology priority with the task force.
So when did, so was the task force on the board agenda?
No.
No, not yet.
The task force that's going to be,
That's going to be
that's
coming
gonna be
along.
coming now, in the next month probably, is going to examine our technology use, and that's going to bring a recommendation to the board.
Discussed on the board agenda.
No, so
And
what-
before you got on.
It actually came, so a couple things that happened, a lot of what comes out when you say board agenda, so we do board advances. And the board advance, which one will be coming up this month, is we call it the action plan update. So it's a full day, and it is mind-boggling, because it's a lot of stuff. I look at these two, when they did their first one, they were like, oh my gosh. But that's where you're getting everything in the clock that, Babs was showing around the accountability and giving evidence. And so what it does is it allows board members to look at the data that we bring as staff in each of our action plan areas. We say, here's where we are, what steps or progress we think is made, and here are some next steps. And that's the opportunity for the board to start saying, have we thought about this? Can we do that? And that's where that goes, right? So it's, the other part of that though is that staff, the other part of the clock, right, the bottom part of the clock, we will initiate activities that every activity that we initiate is not taken to the board. I mean, we would never be done. I mean, we can't do it. We couldn't function as a school district. So if we say, well, we'll go ahead and put together a task force for Stockholm, for example, we may bring that, the notion of that task force, once it's formed and the progress moving forward, and updates to the board. But the task force itself was not board approved. It's not a board approved task force. It's a superintendent's committee that we establish and move forward, and then updates are given, subsequent updates.
So
The same would happen with the enrollment
did
test.
you give the board member information about the task force?
No, we're not yet. No, we haven't
How
gotten
come
it.
everyone don't know about it?
They know about the
Last
notion
year
of
we
it.
talked about it.
So just kind of want to share my experience about this, the technology. I also have a concern since the beginning,
Yeah.
like even like when I run a campaign, have the orientation, I kind of have a question like why? Because I'm not that kind of a leader, like technology owner. So my kids personally just, they don't have iPad, they just don't use it. But like I respect that's the board decision. So when I come on board, I know that's a decision I have to support. But I know my concern, and I also know parents' concern. So we know, okay, that's the part we're missing. For example, like imaging groups. For example, like how to control the parent education and so on and so forth for like cyberbullying, everything, right? So those are part of missing. So my perspective is like, okay, since the board already made the decision, before we have the chance to revisit this decision, maybe what else we can do to make sure this decision has less
Improve.
yeah, they gotta improve. So that's my take on, like, I do have a lot of concerns on technology, but just
And
so
she
you know.
shared those with me. I
Yeah,
know the concerns.
so, I mean, like, I share, for events, like,
Yeah.
and also, like, I also advocate for the task force to do those things. So, again, just respect, response for your, like, how to split your personal and the board, like, everybody struggle with that. But, I mean, like, my way is, I think, maybe is more positive, like, I don't really want to revamp everything before it's, really, I mean, like, when you're revamping something, maybe you will come up something better. So, what I'm trying to do is, okay, if we know there is a way to improve, maybe we can just find the right direction.
For me, I mean, I am computer science major, so both my kids have iPad and they play games on it. I don't restrict their game time. As long as they do their homework, I really don't restrict them. So they are all taken care of. They are on their own. They're doing well in school. I'm not the kind of parent that's really over them as long as they are good on their own. So in terms of iPad, I have been concerned, not because of my kids, because other parents are concerned. And my kids was not in the one-to-one iPad program. So the one-to-one iPad, the main concern was the part that when they have to bring the device home, and that really creates tension. So now we have a task force without parent representative.
The task force is not started.
It hasn't even
So I
So
also
then,
caution us on
I wondering
Okay,
whether
yeah,
the board
I'm,
should be involved with how
Okay.
the
So, Leanne,
composition of the task
hey,
force.
I think,
You're going into an area that we ought not to be going into, so
Yeah.
what we're doing now is we're going into topic-based discussion around iPads good or bad, or whether or not the
So
board.
this should be agendized, I guess we should, otherwise we should talk about it, alright.
It's a management function.
We should
right?
talk about the composition of the task force.
Well,
Okay.
well,
I'd like us to take a break.
yeah.
Because it's lunchtime now, we're gonna come back at 12:30 and, continue our work focused on protocols. But let's take a lunchtime break. Okay?
But I have a request from parents saying would like the technology task force to be a board appointed task force.
Well,
So
you
that we have
can't,
to
you cannot
do-
discuss that
That's
here,
around-
Leanne,
that's
that's
not on
like
the
an overstep
agenda,
right there,
that is
that's an
around-
No,
overstep.
that's a proposed
No,
agenda.
Leanne, but not
It's not
here.
agendized right
Not
It's not
here.
agendized for this.
It is not a topic we shall be discussing here, I mean, it's taking us into an arena where the public's not here to represent that concept, so we cannot do that.
Yeah, so we have to stick with what we are here for, so we will come to protocol, and then during the protocol discussion, we'll be able to see how we can present those kind of risk requests.
Okay, good.
One of the things, and I don't know if you have it as part of what we're doing today, but there's a difference between board responsibilities and management responsibilities. And are we gonna talk at all about the
The
difference?
do's
I think
and
that's
don'ts.
the law.
I think it's the clock,
We
and
did
also
on
we
the
can
clock,
look
but
at it.
it's, I'm not sure
I
it's
think,
clear to.
when, our legal counsel joins us, we can ask those.
You know what, that's
those
a
questions.
really good place for, with
We can
Grant,
ask,
so,
yeah.
Phyllis, how do you want to frame that?
I just wanna make sure we're clear on what kinds of things board members do and what kinds of things, management does.
And this is a really good question for Greg, so.
Yes. And Greg, not only is he an attorney, but he's a city board member as well, so.
I hope everybody read the article that,
It was great.
It was really
It was a
good.
great article. I loved the eye rolling comments.
Yeah. I thought that was awesome.
So are we working to?
So,
No.
no, we're gonna take a break and,
Okay.
go to.
But then we'll eat the lunch at 12:30 while we're working.
No, we're gonna come back here at 12:30.
We'll eat
Have
the
our-
lunch.